Jaren arrived at the forgotten space station with slow steps and tired eyes. He had seen too many battles, too many broken ships, and too many friends lost. Now he only wanted one thing: silence. The station was old and floating at the edge of human space, far from busy planets and far from anyone who might remember him. That was exactly why he bought it. When he entered the main hall, dust rose around his boots. The lights flickered like candles in a storm. Metal walls groaned under their own weight. Every sound echoed loudly because the place was almost empty. Jaren looked around and let out a long breath. It was a mess, but it was his mess. No orders, no noise, no people, just him in the quiet. He put down his old tool bag and checked the power systems first. The station hummed weakly, like a tire machine barely holding on. Jaren knew how that felt. He walked through the corridors, tightening loose bolts, cleaning old panels, and trying to make the station a little more alive. But he noticed something strange right away. Some lights flickered on when he came close, even though he had not fixed them yet. A door opened on its own, even though its control pad was dead. And once, when he left his tools on the floor, he came back to find them neatly placed on a table. At first, he thought he was just forgetting things, but the pattern continued. He shook his head. "Maybe I'm getting old," he muttered. But he knew he wasn't imagining everything. The station felt watched, not in a dangerous way, but in a quiet, curious way, as if someone small was hiding in the shadows, observing him from far corners. Jaren tried to ignore the feeling, but it followed him through every hallway. At night, when he lay on his thin bunk, he heard soft tapping noises in the vents, not like metal settling or air pressure shifting. These taps were quick and gentle, almost playful. Once, he heard something like tiny claws scratching lightly. He sat up and listened carefully. When he moved, the sound stopped. "Great," he whispered. "Now I have space rats." The next morning, one of his wrenches was missing. He searched every corner of the workshop, but found nothing. Only when he opened a storage drawer did he see it lying neatly inside, as if someone had placed it there on purpose. He frowned. Space rats definitely did not organize tools. Days passed, and the feeling grew stronger. Sometimes he caught a glimpse of movement in the corner of his eye, a small shadow slipping behind a door, a quick shape disappearing around a curve in the hallway. When he followed, he found nothing but empty rooms. The station's air system even started working better, though Jaren had not touched it yet. It was as if someone else was repairing things at night. Someone light, careful, and hidden. One evening, while checking an old storage bay, Jaren stopped suddenly. There were footprints, tiny, light, almost like little claws. They weren't human. He knelt down and touched one. The edges were sharp and fresh. Whatever made them had been there only minutes ago. He looked around slowly. The room was quiet, but it didn't feel empty. "I know someone's here," he said softly, not wanting to scare whatever it was. "I don't want trouble. I just want to fix this place." Silence. The air felt still. Jaren stood up, rubbed his tired face, and returned to his quarters. But he left the door slightly open on purpose, hoping the hidden visitor would feel safe enough to reveal itself. That night, he heard gentle footsteps near his room, soft breathing, a tiny click of claws on metal. He kept his eyes closed, letting whoever it was stay close without fear. When he opened his eyes in the morning, something surprising was waiting. On his small table sat a shiny bolt he had lost 2 days ago. It had been cleaned and placed neatly beside his tools. Whoever lived on the station was not trying to harm him. They were helping him. Jaren picked up the bolt and turned it in his fingers. "So I'm not alone," he whispered. For the first time since he arrived, he felt a strange warmth in his chest. Not fear, not worry, something else. Curiosity, maybe even hope. He looked around the silent station and spoke softly into the air. "Whoever you are, thank you." The shadows did not answer, but Jaren felt eyes watching him. Gentle eyes, curious eyes. Something was living on the station with him. Something small, quiet, and maybe scared. He didn't know what it was yet, but he would soon. Jaren woke up the next morning with one thought in mind. He needed to find whoever was living on the station. Not to chase them away, but to understand them. The footprints, the organized tools, the soft steps at night. None of it felt dangerous. It felt lonely, just like him. He walked slowly through the dim corridors, speaking softly so he would not scare the hidden guest. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said. "I just want to talk." His voice echoed through the metal halls, but no answer came. He searched the storage rooms, the vents, the old maintenance shafts. Everything was silent, too silent. Then, in the engineering bay, he heard it, a small squeak, quick and worried. Jaren froze. The sound came from behind a pile of old crates. He stepped closer, moving slowly so whoever was hiding wouldn't run. "It's okay," he said gently. "I won't touch you. I just want to see you." He reached the last crate and stopped. Something small was crouched behind it, trembling. Jaren didn't see details at first, just a small shape curled in fear. When he crouched down to get a better look, the figure lifted its head. Jaren's breath caught. It was not a creature he recognized. It was not a child. And yet, somehow it was both. She looked about the size of a 10-year-old human, but her skin was covered in tiny scales, soft and shining like moonlight. Her eyes were wide and bright, glowing faintly gold. Small horns curved back from her head, and wrapped tightly around her body was a thin, delicate tail that trembled nervously. Jaren whispered without thinking, "A dragon girl?" She let out a soft chirp and backed away, shaking all over. Her wings, small and fragile, fluttered weakly but did not lift her. Jaren raised both hands slowly. "It's okay. I won't hurt you. I didn't know anyone lived here." She watched him, her golden eyes sharp but scared. She tried to speak, but only a soft clicking sound came out, almost like a baby bird's call. She hugged her knees and stared at him, unsure. Jaren's heart softened. Whoever she was, she looked hungry, tired, and alone. "You've been fixing things, haven't you?" he asked kindly. "The tools. The air system. That was you, right?" The little dragon girl blinked and lowered her head shyly. Her tail curled tighter around her legs, as if she wasn't sure whether helping him was something she should admit. "It's okay," Jaren said gently. "Thank you. You helped me a lot." The girl made a soft chirping noise, almost surprised. She tilted her head, studying his face like she was trying to see if he was lying. When she realized he wasn't, her wings twitched with a tiny spark of happiness. Jaren slowly sat on the floor, staying at her level. "How long have you been here?" he asked. She tapped her claws softly on the metal floor. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. For days? For weeks? He wasn't sure, but it was clear she had been alone for a long time. She looked thin. Her scales were dull from hunger. Her eyes held shadows of fear deeper than any child should carry. "Did you lose your family?" Jaren asked softly. The girl froze. Her wings sank. Her shoulders dropped, and she turned her face away. That was enough answer for him. Jaren's chest tightened. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "You must have been very scared." She didn't reply, but a tremble ran through her small body. Slowly, Jaren held out a small wrapped food ration from his pocket. "Here, you must be hungry." She hesitated, sniffed the air, then slowly reached out with tiny claws. When she took the food, she nibbled carefully, almost like she wasn't sure she was allowed to eat it. When she realized he wasn't going to take it back, she ate faster, tears gathering in her big golden eyes. Jaren looked around the dusty engineering bay. This old, dying station had been her home, her hiding place, her cage. "You don't have to be alone now," he said gently. The girl looked up at him, eyes wide and shining, as if she didn't understand how anyone could say that. "My name is Jaren," he said, tapping his chest. "Jaren." She blinked, then tried to repeat it. "Jaren." Her voice was soft, nothing more than a whisper, but it was the first word she had said. Jaren smiled softly. "And what's your name?" The little dragon girl placed a clawed hand on her chest. She made a soft, musical sound. "Riri." Jaren nodded. "Riri. That's a beautiful name." Riri's wings fluttered again, this time with shy warmth. Jaren stood slowly and offered his hand, not to grab her, but to show she could come if she wanted. Riri stared at the hand for a long moment. Then, With trembling steps, she moved closer. She didn't touch his hand, but she walked beside him. For the first time since he came to the station, Jaren didn't feel alone. And for the first time in her life, Riri wasn't hiding in the shadows anymore. Jaren walked through the dim hallway of the abandoned station, holding a small lantern he had repaired the night before. The station creaked softly around him, like an old giant waking from a long sleep. Dust lifted in the air with every step he took. He tried not to think about the strange noises he heard earlier, footsteps that were not his. He told himself it was a wind, but there was no wind in space. Jaren reached a heavy door at the end of the corridor. He had tried opening it many times, but it never moved. Today, something felt different. When he placed his hand on the metal surface, a warm pulse spread under his palm. The door unlocked with a slow, echoing click. Jaren froze. That wasn't me. The door slid open on its own, revealing a dark room filled with old screens and cracked control panels. Thick cables hung from the ceiling. He stepped inside carefully, feeling watched. The moment his foot touched the floor, the screens flickered and slowly lit up, one by one. "Someone else is here," he whispered to himself. But the room did not attack him. It simply activated, as if recognizing him. A soft voice echoed behind him. "You open the core chamber." Jaren spun around fast. It was the small dragon girl he found earlier, Riri. Her silver hair glowed softly in the screen light, and her big eyes watched him with a mix of fear and curiosity. "Riri, I told you to stay in the safe room," he said gently. She shook her head. "The station spoke to me. It wanted me to follow." Jaren felt a chill. "Spoke to you?" Before she could answer, the largest screen turned bright and displayed a strange symbol, an old mark he didn't recognize. Then a map of the station appeared, glowing in blue light. Several rooms flashed red, showing damage, but one part of the map blinked gold. Riri stepped beside him. "That is the heart chamber," she whispered. "Mother told me about it." "Your mother?" Jaren asked. She nodded. "She said the station is older than the dragon clans. It was built by someone before us. Someone powerful." Jaren felt the weight of her words. He had sensed something unusual about this place from the moment he found it, abandoned among broken asteroids. But he never imagined it was ancient, far older than he thought. Something suddenly changed. The lights brightened. The floor vibrated under their feet. Then a voice, calm and mechanical, filled the room. "Identity confirmed." Jaren's heart jumped. "Confirmed? What identity?" The voice continued, ignoring him. "Primary keeper, deceased. Secondary keeper, absent." Jaren grabbed Riri's hand, ready to run, but the voice finished with a soft hum. "Temporary keeper detected." Jaren stopped. His voice shook. "Temporary? Are you talking about me?" The screen shifted. A glowing path appeared, leading them deeper into the station. Riri looked at him with wide eyes. "It chose you." Jaren shook his head. "I didn't ask for this." "But the station did," she whispered. Before he could argue, the door behind them slammed shut. Locks clicked. The station wanted them to move forward, not back. The voice spoke again. "Danger level rising. Unauthorized presence detected." Riri gasped. "Someone else is here." Jaren felt the same cold fear he had felt earlier. The footsteps he heard were real. He moved closer to Riri. "Stay behind me." The screen flickered, showing a shadowy figure moving in one of the distant corridors. Tall, armored, slow. Warning! Hunter class unit active. Jaren whispered. "A hunter? Like a machine?" Riri nodded fearfully. "Mother said hunters were made to guard forbidden places. They follow no one. They stop anyone who enters the secrets of the station." Jaren swallowed. "Then we need to get out." But the screen flashed again, a bright golden line pointing straight ahead. "Proceed to heart chamber." Jaren knew the station was not giving him a choice. It trusted him, somehow, and it expected him to follow. He took a deep breath. "Riri, we move quietly." "Stay close." Riri wrapped her small hands around his arm. "I trust you." Jaren felt a strange warmth in his chest at her words. He didn't feel brave, but he couldn't let her down. They followed the glowing path through twisting hallways. The deeper they went, the clearer the station felt, like it was alive, guiding them, protecting them. But behind the walls, he heard the echo of metal footsteps, slow and strong, getting closer. At last they reached a huge circular door unlike any other. It had the same symbol from the screen carved into the metal. The path ended here. The station spoke one last time. Heart chamber unlocked. The door began to rise, releasing a warm, golden light that poured out in waves. Jaren felt the light brush his skin like a gentle hand. Riri squeezed his arm tighter. "What's inside?" she whispered. Jaren stared into the glowing room. "I don't know." But he stepped forward anyway. He had to know why the station chose him, and what secrets it wanted him to uncover. Jaren was in a workshop when the alarms began to beep softly. Not loud, not sharp, just a warning tone the station had not used in years. He froze, a wrench in his hand. Riri, who had been sitting on a crate eating fruit, tilted her head. Her long ears twitched, and her tail curled around her feet. The beeping grew faster. Jaren moved to the old console. Half the buttons no longer worked, but the sensor display flickered to life. A single shape moved across the edge of the station's radar. Slowly, purposefully, not debris, not a lost cargo pod. A ship. He felt his heart drop. No one visited this forgotten station. No one even remembered it existed. But Riri's reaction frightened him more. She went completely still. Her eyes widened, glowing faintly with a soft gold light. She whispered one word, her voice soft and trembling. "Mother." Jaren's blood ran cold. Before he could ask anything, the ship outside changed course and came straight toward them. The station trembled as the docking clamps automatically activated, something that should have been impossible, since Jaren had never fixed that system. But the station obeyed anyway, as if preparing for important guests. Riri grabbed Jaren's sleeve tightly. Her small hands shook. "They found me," she whispered. "I did not want them to." Jaren knelt beside her. "Are they dangerous?" She hesitated. "Not to me, maybe to others." The door to the main hangar groaned open. Cold air rushed through the corridors. Jaren took a breath, then picked up a metal pipe, the closest thing to a weapon he had. The hangar lights flickered on. A sleek, silver ship sat in the bay. Its surface glowed with bright, shifting runes. The air hummed as its engines cooled. Then the ramp lowered slowly, touching the floor with a soft sound. Armored figures stepped out, tall dragons in humanoid form, scales shining like polished stone, wings folded neatly behind their backs. Their armor was black and gold, with a crest shaped like a blazing sun. Riri gasped. The Sun Guard. Jaren didn't know who they were, but he knew enough to understand this. They were powerful, royal, and not used to hearing the word no. The guard scanned the hangar until their eyes landed on Riri. Their expressions softened for a moment. One kneeled, lowering his head. "Princess Ryrithai," he said gently. "We have searched every corner of the stars for you." Riri clutched Jaren's arm harder. "I don't want to go." The guard noticed Jaren finally. His eyes narrowed. "Human, step away from the princess." Jaren lifted his chin. "She's scared. I won't force her." The guard looked offended. "You misunderstand. We are not here to harm her." But another guard stepped forward, his tone sharper. "Humans cannot protect a royal child. Leave her to us." Riri stomped her foot, small flames forming under her toes. "No. Jaren is good. He helped me. You were not here." The guards exchanged glances. They had not expected resistance. The first guard spoke again, softer this time. "Princess, your mother waits. She is worried." Riri's defiance wavered. Her tail drooped. She whispered, "My mother." The guard extended a clawed hand. "Please, come home." Jaren felt his chest tighten. He knew this moment would come eventually. Riri was never meant to stay with someone like him. She was special, far more than he had guessed. But Riri grabbed his hand and shook her head hard. "Come with me, too," she said. "Please, I don't want to go alone." The guard stiffened. "That is impossible. No human may." A new sound echoed through the hangar. Soft footsteps. Calm, heavy with power. All the guards turned instantly and bowed. A tall figure walked down the ramp, her scales shimmering white and silver, her wings wide and majestic. She wore no armor, because she needed none. Her presence alone filled the room like warm firelight. Riri's mother, the Dragon Empress. She looked at her daughter first, eyes soft with relief. Then she looked at Jaren, and her expression changed. She studied him, reading everything about him in seconds. His tired face, his old jumpsuit, his callous hands, the worry in his eyes. Riri ran to her. "Mother!" she cried. The Empress lifted her gently, holding her close. "My little flame, you frighten me more than all the wars I have fought." Then Riri pointed at Jaren. "He saved me. He helped me. He was kind." The Empress's gaze returned to the human. This time, her eyes held something new. Respect, but something else too. Curiosity, and an emotion he did not expect from someone so powerful. Warmth. She stepped forward slowly. "Human mechanic," she said in a calm, deep voice. "You cared for my daughter when no one else could." Jaren swallowed hard. She needed someone. The Empress nodded once. "Visitors from the stars have come, Jaren, and they have come for more than just my daughter." She looked around the old station, her expression thoughtful. "This place holds secrets even my empire has forgotten." And Jaren realized the truth. The visitors were not only here for Riri. They were here because the station had awakened. Because he had awakened it. His quiet, forgotten home was about to pull him into a destiny far greater than he ever imagined. Jaren stood in the center of the old control room, surrounded by glowing panels that had not worked in years. The Dragon Empress watched quietly from the doorway, her silver eyes reflecting every flicker of light. Riri sat on the console beside him, swinging her legs and smiling proudly. The station had come alive, truly alive, for the first time in decades. Jaren didn't understand why. He had only repaired small parts, just enough to survive. But the station responded to him like an old friend waking up. Doors opened on their own. Systems repaired themselves. Lights followed his movements. It was as if the station wanted him. The Empress finally stepped closer. "You have awakened a relic from the First Age," she said softly. "A station built by beings far older than my people." Jaren blinked. "But I just fixed wiring." The Empress shook her head. "No. This station has an intelligence, ancient, sleeping, waiting for a voice it recognizes. And somehow it recognizes yours." Riri hopped down, grabbing Jaren's sleeve. "See? I told Mother you are special." He laughed nervously. "Special? I'm just a mechanic." The Empress smiled, a rare and gentle smile. "That is exactly why you succeeded. You listen to machines. You understand them. Most would try to command this station. You helped it." Jaren looked around the room. "So what does that mean?" Before she could answer, the station itself responded. The main screen lit up and displayed a map of the stars, thousands of bright points connected by glowing lines. A path highlighted itself from the station to a distant cluster. The Empress exhaled slowly. "It is showing you where it wants to go." "Me?" Jaren whispered. "Yes," she said. "Because you are the first person it trusts." Riri grabbed his hand. "We can go together." But Jaren stepped back. "I can't leave Earth. I'm not a hero. I bought this place to hide, to rest." The Empress studied him carefully. "You came here to be alone, to end your story quietly." Her voice softened. "But life has given you a new one." He looked at Riri, who smiled at him with bright, hopeful eyes. The station hummed gently, like it was waiting. The Empress placed a hand over her daughter's head. "You gave my child safety," she said. "You gave her kindness. For that, you have earned the right to choose your next path." Jaren's heart felt heavy. "If I leave, there's no going back." The Empress nodded. "But if you stay, you will always wonder why this ancient place woke for you." The room fell silent. Only the soft hum of the station filled the air. Jaren walked to the window and stared at the stars. He remembered the first day he arrived, broken, tired, ready for the world to forget him. But now, a little dragon girl trusted him, an empress respected him, and an ancient machine reached for him like a lost companion. Maybe he wasn't meant to fade away. Maybe he still had something to give. He turned back to them. If I go, what exactly would I be doing? The empress bowed her head respectfully. You would be the station's keeper, its partner. You would explore where it leads. You would uncover the knowledge left behind by civilizations long gone. Riri grinned. And I can come too. Mother said so. The empress sighed, but her smile betrayed her pride. Yes, she insisted. Jaren laughed. The first true laugh he'd felt in years. He placed a hand on the console. Station, do you want me to stay? The lights brightened. A warm pulse moved through the floor like a heartbeat. Riri gasped. It said yes. Jaren took a deep breath. Then, I'll go. The empress stepped forward and placed her hand over his. Then let this be known. From this day, you are not just a mechanic. You are the keeper of the first light station, and you will not walk this path alone. The station responded with a deep, powerful hum. Panels unlocked. Engines flared awake. The whole structure trembled with new energy. Riri clapped excitedly. We're going on adventures. Jaren smiled at her, feeling something warm grow in his chest. Purpose. The empress gave him a final, meaningful look. Take care, my daughter, and take care of yourself. I will, he promised. She nodded once, then stepped away as the station's engines roared to life. Jaren sat in the command chair, a seat that seemed built for him all along. Riri climbed onto the armrest, eyes shining with excitement. The stars ahead brightened, and the ancient station moved forward, breaking free from its long slumber. As they launched into the unknown, Jaren felt it clearly. He wasn't running from life anymore. He was running toward it.